By now, you've all heard of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0, the latest book published by Mama Jumbo Shrimp. It's more than just another wine book. The fully updated second edition was inspired by students of the VinItaly International Academy and painstakingly reviewed and revised by an expert panel of certified Italian wine ambassadors from across the globe. The book also includes an edition by Professore Attilio Scienza, Italy's leading vine geneticist. The benchmark producers feature is a particularly important aspect of this revised edition. The selection makes it easier for our readers to get their hands on a bottle of wine that truly represents a particular grape or region. To pick up a copy, just head to Amazon.com or visit us at MamaJumboShrimp.com.
Welcome to today's episode, part of another new mini-series on Voices about the VinItaly International Academy Italian Wine Ambassadors who contributed to the new edition of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0. This new Mama Jumbo Shrimp publication was released in January 2023 and it provides a foundation for the VinItaly International Academy Italian Wine Ambassadors course. Listen in as Cynthia chats with the personalities who made this revised edition possible. And remember, you can also tune in each Saturday afternoon to hear narrated installments of this new book, or head to Amazon.com to pick up your copy today.
Welcome to Voices. This is me, Cynthia Chaplin, and I would like to welcome you all to the second in a series of interviews with VinItaly International Academy Italian Wine Ambassadors who contributed to the new edition of our amazing textbook, Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0. And today I'm really happy to welcome my friend and fellow VinItaly International Ambassador, Noell Dorsey. Noell is a wine educator at the Commonwealth Wine School in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and she also works in fine wine and rare spirits, cellar management for Skinner auctioneers and appraisers. She's a certified sommelier with the Court of Master Somms in the USA, and she's currently on the path to becoming a maestro educator with VinItaly International Academy, near and dear to my heart, teaching an introductory level course for people just beginning their Italian wine journey. So thank you so much for coming on today, Noell. I really appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No, great pleasure to hear your voice again. You're quite new to VIA. You haven't been with us all that long, but you've become a gigantic supporter of everything we do. I just wondered, how did you first hear about VIA? How did you get involved?
It's an interesting story. At the time, I think it was 2016. And so VIA was pretty new at this point. And I was a sommelier at Island Creek Oyster Bar, and I had won a trip through Wine Enthusiast. They do, these surveys for somms.
Yeah, of course.
And, if you fill out the full survey, which is very tedious, I might add, so I can see how some people never make it to the end, then you get put into a lottery for a trip. And so you never think you're actually...
Yeah, the proverbial hat.
Right, exactly. You never think you're actually going to win any of those. And I actually won a trip to the Niagara region, Canada, just for like a long weekend for their cool climate Chardonnay convention. It was fascinating. And I've had mostly ice wines and things from that area, but you don't get, or at the time didn't get a lot of Canadian wine in the US. So I go on this trip and Ian D'Agata is one of the speakers and leading some of the tastings. And I think it was the last evening, there was this big dinner outside, and it was amazing because you're getting to meet all of these really interesting, cool people. And Ian happened to be at my table, and we started talking about it. And that's when I first heard about VIA and, all of the exciting things they were doing. So it was actually just coincidentally meeting Ian that I heard about it. And so then...
Karma. It was meant to be.
Yeah, seriously. It was so cool. And at that time, they were doing the Colazione trips where you go to a region and, you do a deep dive just for a couple of days.
Of course.
So I got to go to Friuli there and then did VIA, I guess 2017 was my was the first year I did it.
Amazing. So you've been with the program longer than it would appear on paper, which is great to know, actually.
Oh, yeah. And I like to put that on my resume. Like, I am still part of the community starting at 2017, but I didn't actually pass until last year.
Yeah, exactly.
2022.
Well, that shows a gigantic dedication to the process. Going 4 years to get through it and pass it.
Well, I did take a couple of years off, but still studying, of course.
But you didn't disappear seeing, so that's really good.
No, I didn't.
And then as immediately, I think probably the ink on your certificate wasn't even dry, and I nabbed you to contribute to the new edition of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0.
Yes.
By rewriting some of the 5 grapes for the must-know grapes section of the book. So, besides the fact that I nagged you and bugged you to do it.
You did not bug me. It's fine. I wanted to do it.
Very kind. What motivated you to take part in the revamp of the textbook? I mean, I now understand a level of commitment more to the community than I knew about before, but why did you want to be involved with the book?
I really loved the original Italian Wine Unplugged. I thought it was an amazing resource. I mean, it still is, but knew it could go even deeper with a second edition, and I kind of jumped at the chance to be part of that. I mean, the first edition sought to make a more of a streamlined version with Ian D'Agata's Native Grapes book as sort of the source or one of the main influences. And it did well, but there were some technical aspects of the book, which we all know about, that some of the pages weren't lining up and just like errors, etc. And the power of that book was there because just having those grapes and the maps and the food pairings. But I think everyone in the VIA community knew it could be better technically and a little more streamlined and easier to read, at the same time going even more in depth, because when did the first issue get released, right? Like 2017?
17.
So it definitely, there's more to know every year. Every month there seems to be an update on Italian wine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Italian wine never gets old. They're always doing something with the DOCG regulations. There's always something new, more developments in DNA. That's a very good point.
Yeah, for sure. And having Scienza more involved with it, and yeah, I feel like we achieved it. I have not actually officially gotten the book yet, but I've looked at it, and yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a very cool thing.
As you said, Professor Scienza, who is the leading light in, grape DNA and, sort of vineyard geology and things in Europe, he contributed a huge amount of new material to the new book that
amazing.
I'm very proud of to have there. So I'm so glad that you were open to doing it. It was a big job, I think, more than anyone thought. Just rewriting some grapes. We have such a great community of people who took that responsibility quite seriously. And of course, you were one of those people. So we're really grateful that you did that.
Oh, no, I was happy to. I mean, the beautiful part of that is getting to do a little bit more research and digging in. Because even though you do so much studying for the Italian Wine Ambassador and Expert, there's always going to be more to know, right? Like that's just how it goes. And just being in the wine world, you can't know everything. And, it was awesome to just dig deeper in and be able to share it in writing with others. So
it's interesting, this whole idea of being an Italian wine ambassador. That's what's behind the course. That's what's behind the book. We want that book to go out in the world and not only be used by students and by teachers, but also by people who are just enthusiastic about Italian wine and want to sort of, as we always say, spread the gospel, spread the word about the excitement and the variety in Italian wine. So how do you see your role as an Italian wine ambassador? Now that you've achieved it, you've got the pin, what are you doing as an ambassador for Italian wines over in Boston?
Well, first of all, I think as an Italian wine ambassador, my role is, of course, to promote Italian wine. But it's more than that. It's also Italian food and culture. I mean, there's so much to know about Italian viticulture and grapes, cuisine, history, because each region of Italy brings its own identity and tradition. So in a way, you're not just promoting the Italian wine, but you're showcasing the beautiful distinctions of each area. in each region. I mean, you have like the pesto of Liguria or su filindu, which translates to threads of God. It's this beautiful cross-stitch Sardinian pasta. Or, the pizza of Naples, arancini. I mean, that's what the U.S. would kind of put them into a blanket of general Italian food. I'm putting that in quotes, general Italian food. But each region's history and distinctions are, like I said, what makes them so unique and wonderful. And being able to translate that as an educator is very, very important. Right now, I teach wine classes privately and at the Commonwealth Wine School in Cambridge. I will be doing the Italian Wine Maestro class as well. I hope to be doing that in the spring, summer time.
I'm going to nag you even more. Of course, you will be doing it by then.
Oh, I definitely will. But I've been doing, just singular classes, Wines of Sicily. I took a trip with the VIA community in 2021 to Sardinia. And so I did a class on Sardinia, and I did a lineup of Sangiovese and various grapes and Italian wines. We also try to have fun, and we'll try to mix, food and literature, to try to mix it up and not have it just to kind of I don't know what the right word would be, like just, different arts, get music involved, and pair them with the books. And, that was a fun class that we did, having reading some Dante and then having some Veneto, Valpolicella with it. It's cool.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Don't forget to visit our YouTube channel, Mama Jumbo Shrimp, for fascinating videos covering Stevie Kim and her travels across Italy and beyond, meeting winemakers, eating local foods, and taking in the scenery. Now, back to the show.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it's so right what you said about, how in places outside of Italy, Italian food tends to be sort of clumped together as you said, quote unquote, Italian food, but all the regions are so different. And we forget that Italy is smaller in size, in landmass than the state of California. Yet we've got this enormous wealth of not only grapes, but culture and food and history. So that's very cool what you're doing. That's exactly the definition of what we want Italian wine ambassadors to be doing, showcasing all of these really important things about Italian wine and everything that goes with wine, the food, the literature, everything else. So I think that's a perfect definition to that quote unquote job of being an Italian wine ambassador, or responsibility, or I don't know, honor, which I always think of it as one when I'm out there doing that sort of stuff myself. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your thoughts on the VIA community. This book was very community driven. Our students who have used it, teachers who have used it, other people who have read it, all came together and said, these are the changes we'd like to see. The community was very active, as you were, in helping out with rewriting grapes. And I just wonder, why are you such a devoted VIA supporter? What is it about VIA and the community that has engaged you to such an extent for all these years?
Immediately doing, that first trip and that first course, which, I didn't pass, but learned so much. It's just the amazing people, the energy, knowledge is contagious, and being around these like-minded folks who are so engaged, who love wine and are just fun, deep, interesting people. I
love that.
It felt like adult camp in a way that first year. I remember talking to Henry DeVar, and we were like, that first year was really something, and you continue to create these collaborations and friendships over the years. So it ends up being like a beautiful reunion. And you don't just learn from, watching the seminars and listening to Shensa, but you also learn from each other. And there's always lots of opportunities that people are posting about. And I've made some really great friends along the way. So it's a fantastic community, and I recommend it to everyone whenever I get a chance.
We are super proud of it, and I love to hear it be spoken of in such a warm way. I know for myself, it's played a big role in sort of cementing my ideas about my career and why I'm living here in Italy. And it's really, really good to hear, not just complimentary words for the sake of compliments, but, a really heartfelt endorsement of why the community itself is important. As you said, you didn't pass the first time. A lot of people don't. We've had Masters of Wine fail that exam. It's a really rigorous course.
Oh yeah, it's a difficult test.
Yeah, it is. But it's, it has created, as you said, this wonderful network of people who are very like-minded. I love the idea of adult camp. I think we're going to have to do something with that for VIA this year.
Well, what I also love too is even if you don't pass, you still have access to everything that you need, and you're still able to go on some of these Gita Scolastica trips, which I know we haven't really talked about or gone over. But the fact that there are these trips that you can go to various regions, taste from the producers, have the seminars, see, the region and meet these other people. I found that just wonderful because then you're able to really soak in everything you need to know about that wine, or as much as you can. I mean, you might not be able to get everything, but.
And it brings it all to life. I mean, that's our goal, is to get your feet in the vineyard, standing on the soil, holding onto the grapes, listening to the producer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It brings it all alive. And the next time that you're sitting in Boston on a snowy night and drinking a Fiano, you remember, when I was in Campania, I remember this. So you described the Gita Scolastica perfectly. I don't have to go into that now.
And like I said, I wasn't an ambassador yet, but they're giving you all the tools, or VIA's giving you the tools to hopefully come back and take it again and have this knowledge, in your back pocket.
Well, this is what we want to do. And we want to, keep the door open for more people to join the community. Who do you think are sort of the best candidates to become VIA students? How would you recommend people get ready? Aside from reading our amazing new book, we just said it's a tough course. It's a tough exam. Who do you think should be applying, and how should they prepare themselves?
I was thinking about this a lot, and it kind of goes in a lot of different ways. I mean, taking the class and meeting these people, they kind of come from various backgrounds. So of course you have the somms, or the people who are working with Italian wines, and the importers or distributors, writers, people who have an intimate knowledge of Italian wine already. But you also have people from various jobs, maybe more marketing, or our friend Justine, who is an ambassador, and she started off as a housewife and now she's doing wine related stuff. But she didn't have the specific, wine title. Just people who are super passionate, engaged, and curious, who, are willing to put in the work and dive in. Anyone who's basically willing to go down the rabbit hole and discover all of the interconnectedness.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Engaged and passionate and willing to do the work. That's our email address is at justdothework.
That's true.
So you've thrown me that bone so I could get that out there. But it is interesting. And I do think that also plays a part in why our VIA community is, the way that it is. Everybody in there has gone through the course. They may not have passed. They're still passionate. They're still taking part, as you said, in these trips and other events that we do. And, reading the book, keeping up to date on our social media. And I think it's very open to a lot of people. You don't have to be, at the top of your game in the wine world. So that's an important thing to. You yourself are a wine educator.
Yes, exactly. Having a history of Italian wine and already having a background will only help you, of course.
Of course. And, I'm an educator too, and I know you are. And as we discussed, you're on your way to becoming certified as a maestro educator for VIA to teach the intro level course for people who are just taking their first steps in the world of Italian wine. And I just wanted to ask you, we talk about this a lot on Voices. It's kind of a point of interest for me at the moment. Do you think wine education is keeping up with the changes in the global wine sector? We've put out our new book. I'm hoping it will be relevant. I think it's awesome. Of course, I'm biased, but it is an awesome book. It's up to date, but books don't stay up to date. And I just wonder, what would you change in wine education? How would you like to see VIA grow and the book grow in the future?
I think overall that wine education has been kind of keeping up with the times. I mean, there is, of course, really solid the WSAT. You have the Italian wine scholar, Spanish wine scholar, that sector. And of course, the VIA courses. I do like to, like I said, have a little bit more fun and try to do the literature or the arts or the music background. I love Dr. Rebecca Lawrence, and how that whole hip hop and wine, I think that's really, really fun.
Absolutely. And wine should be fun.
Yeah. I think it's just engages people in a way. Not everyone is going to resonate with just a classic textbook and lecture. And so I think that having that is part of it. I will say that I wish there was a course similar to VIA for other countries, because it is so comprehensive. And I know that, Borgogna Wines has a section, and, they do the Napa Wine Academy and things like that. But there is something about the whole country and being able to focus and specialize and get just an expansive opportunity to learn about these wines that I think other countries, like especially, France or Spain, would benefit from something as in-depth as this.
That is a very interesting idea. I'm not sure we're going to find another Stevie Kim, managing director of VinItaly International, to go and do these things in other countries. But
I know, I doubt that.
But it's very interesting that what you've pointed out, that it is such a comprehensive course. It really is a deep dive. And I think you're right. And again, I'm biased, but I think you're right. I think VIA does something for Italian wines that other countries don't necessarily do for their wines yet.
True. And I think honestly, Italian wine has just been doing so well in so many markets. There's so many more Italian wine restaurants than I've ever seen before, and just Italian lists with interesting wines on them, like seeing Rossese on a list, or Rucche. More Lambrusco. You used to not see that. It used to be more of a general,
Pinot Grigio.
The hits of Sangiovese. Yeah, exactly. And now you're getting more unique varietals and people excited to talk about them. And it just goes to show how beautiful they are for food pairings. They should be in restaurants, and they're getting more exposure.
That's true. And economically, you're absolutely right. The Italian wines are gaining in market share. They're number 2 in the UK. They are gaining in market share. People are more curious, I think, now.
I think so too. Absolutely. And there's so many interesting wines to try. So
absolutely,
there's a bigger pool to draw from. I do love, and I've been thinking about this too, is, how Tanya Morningstar does her Orvieto class, her Orvieto program, which seems so spectacular. And what I would love to see would be more of micro-focusing on just like small specific regions, like having like a Montalcino ambassador. I know they have like a larger Valpolicella ambassador, but something like that, I thought could be really fun. Sardinia, like going even further and having another little, not little, but just another certification.
Yeah, no, more specialized even. I understand where you're
more specialized. That's what exactly. Could be cool. Just like an extra.
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's something that I would like.
Well, before I let you go, I happen to know a fun fact about you that you've kind of alluded to in this conversation about pairing Italian wine with literature and with other cultural things. And I happen to know that you are an amazing singer with a degree in voice and opera. And I just wonder if you could dream up a way to combine singing and Italian wine, what would you do?
Oh my gosh. I've had these conversations with people. I actually have talked about this a lot with Jody Hellman and Aaron when we were studying, because they were part of the study group. And, you're trying to do the mnemonic, getting a poem or a song or something to remember. It's easier because it kind of gets in your body, right? So you're studying. And I think we were singing Shaka Tra to the tune of Shaka Khan.
I love it.
Like Shaka Tra, Shaka Tra. which is really funny. Or of course, like a little bit of Monica in my life, like getting those, integrating them with a song, but also doing a Schoolhouse Rock style for wine. I always thought would be really fun.
Oh my gosh, we're showing our age. I remember Schoolhouse Rock. I think half the people listening to this show are going to say, what are they talking about? But it was on Saturday morning TV, and it gave you little songs to remember the multiplication tables and the preamble to the Constitution.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, something like that, because I remember that did work.
Yeah, and just animations and just fun, catchy tunes, you know, either about the grape or winemaking or, you know, DOC rules, you know, or just like small campaigns for grapes, like commercials or something like that.
Okay, so now we know what Noel is going to be doing in the future. She's going to be doing Italian Grape Schoolhouse Rock Edition, and I'm looking forward to that already.
It would be so fun.
A whole new career.
Aaron DeMaro's amazing. I actually messaged him this week. I was like, hey, do you remember some of the songs we were really riffing on? Because he has a wealth of them, so definitely tap him for it. Sorry, Aaron.
This is a new project. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. Thank you so much for chatting with us. And thank you again for helping to do the rewrites of the grapes for Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0. You'll have to tell me what you think when you have it in your hand, because it's my baby and I'm very proud of it. So
I can't wait.
I hope you'll, put it up on a stand in your classroom and encourage people to take a look and fall in love with it.
Oh, definitely. I'm very much looking forward to having it in my hands. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks, Noel. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for listening, and remember to tune in next Wednesday when I'll be chatting with another fascinating guest. Italian Wine Podcast is among the leading wine podcasts in the world and the only one with a daily show. Tune in every day and discover all our different shows. You can find us at ItalianWinePodcast.com, SoundCloud, Spotify, Himalaya, or wherever you get your pods.